Okay, good morning, everybody. We are calling to order the selection committee meeting for the Sewage and Water Board. It is 9:08 a.m. I'll do a quick roll call. Elizabeth Duet,
Here.
Nick Harris,
Here.
Sharonda Williams present, Ed Smith, Sandra Lindquist,
Here.
Dr.
Kamisha.
Kamisha Smith-Ross,
Here.
Jeffrey Benjamin,
Here.
Mark Pyle,
Here.
Ron Carrere,
Here.
and Raymond Brown.
Here.
We have a quorum. The last time this committee met, I was asked to serve as chair, and there's a request that I remain as chair, but at this point, we're at item 2 on the agenda, which is selection of the chair and vice chair. If there are any other nominations for chair, we will please proceed with making those nominations now. No other nominations? Okay, any objections to my remaining as chair? With no objections, I guess that means I will proceed. Is there a nomination for vice chair?
Raymond Brown.
All right, Mr. Brown, you accept that nomination?
All right.
Are there any other nominations? All in favor of Raymond Brown serving as vice chair?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you, Mr.
Congrats.
Brown.
All right. Put this on your resume.
Included in the packets that are before you is a copy of the bylaws of the Sewage and Water Board Selection Committee. If I'll have a motion to approve the bylaws. These bylaws basically speak to who serves on this selection committee and how we proceed with making recommendations for nominations. So if there are no corrections or additions or changes, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the bylaws. Is there a motion?
Oh, so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any opposition? If none, the bylaws are adopted. And before I get to the applications that we received, I wanted to take a minute to recognize our interim executive director, Ron Spooner, who is in the room with us as well today.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. And we have received applications for the position of a consumer advocate, as well as for a District C representative, and we are tasked with providing 3 names for consideration for each of those positions. We've received 8 applications for consumer advocate and 5 for District C that are all included in the packet. So now is the time for us to discuss each of those applications. The first one for consumer advocate, Caitlin Kane. And as a reminder, under the bylaws, the consumer advocate should have experience in community advocacy, consumer protection, or a related field. Caitlin has submitted an affidavit saying that her experiences in the areas of urban planning, finance, infrastructure, policy, community development, and financial sector experience. Anyone have any thoughts, comments on the application submitted by Caitlin Kane?
I was impressed with her background and experience that I think might be relevant to the position, including a lot of consultancy services, public relations, transformational economic development, that type of thing. Director of Rural America. Experience in social and corporate investment strategies to the communities. I thought that experience was relevant to what she's applying for. Development Director.
She's also got experience as she served as an advocate for Region 6 in the SBA Office of Advocacy, which I think is relevant to the specifics of community advocacy work for this position.
I have worked with her for about 20 years now, and I can definitely say that she would be a great candidate for the position.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments on Caitlin Kane? Okay, if not, we can move to James Howard, who has stated that his background is primarily in the field of public health.
Sharonda, the one question I have, I mean, clearly, I think Dr. Steele's resume and background is impeccable. I think the one question I had, or at least curiosity, I didn't know the fact that Dr. Steele, I believe, is with Louisiana Department of Health, if there was any type of impact, a conflict for serving on the board if you work for a state or governmental entity. And
I'm not sure if I know the answer to that question.
no,
But it seems that most of his experience is in data-related fields for health departments. Anybody have any experience with Dr. Steele?
Sharonda, can you tell us again, what are the prerequisites we're looking for this position again, the consumer advocate position?
It's based on the bylaws. It says 2 members of the board are deemed as consumer advocate positions, but we're only filling one position right now. They need experience in community advocacy, consumer protection, or a related field on the board. Any other thoughts on I said Steele, but Dr. Howard before we move on?
I mean, I think it'd be great as an advocate. I know we often talk about the drainage side of sewage and water board, but I think from just water quality, his background might be beneficial to serve. I think the biggest thing is to make sure that there's nothing within the bylaws that presents a conflict with him being employed by a state agency. I think that's the one thing we need to make sure we have clarity on.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this candidate? Next one is Michelle Johnson, whose experience is primarily in the fields of construction and business management. I was impressed with this resume and the work that she's done from the engineering perspective. My only question is whether it actually fits into the qualifications for the consumer advocate position, and whether this person might be better suited for another slot on the board.
Yeah, I agree. I think it lacks the background that we were looking for this position.
Any other thoughts on that candidate before we move on? The next one is Julie Lynn Pfeffer, who says that her background is primarily in the fields of finance, accounting, and business administration.
I was impressed with her educational background, going to have an MBA from Wharton and Cornell University.
Sharonda, just
feel like she's
curious,
good
on the affidavit, it scratches out state of Louisiana and puts New Jersey. And I was just curious about if that was because of the notary or if it was some.
Probably got it
Okay.
notarized in the state of New Jersey. You can see that
The stamp at the
the
bottom.
stamp at the bottom was by a notary public in New Jersey. I don't know if that means she
Probably had to notarize it.
remotely, but she may have been traveling or
Yeah.
something when she got it done.
Okay.
Because her address is listed as Webster Street in New Orleans. Any other thoughts on this candidate? Okay. The next one is Courtney Scruggs. She's listed her primary fields of experience in the areas of law, public health, science, business management, and community or consumer advocacy. And she lists the areas of community advocacy that, at the end of page 2 of her resume. Any comments on this particular application?
I think she's well-versed. She also has a strong academic background in quite a few areas of advocacy. Make a strong candidate.
Any other thoughts, comments on?
The residency requirement is, starts at 2 years in New Orleans to be a part.
And she,
I'm thinking about the past one, Scrubs, okay? Not Scrubs, but one before her.
the one that was notarized in New Jersey?
Yeah, it's a residency requirement for 2 years here in the city of New Orleans.
That's what the affidavit.
An affidavit,
A registered voter and
And a
a
domicili-
domiciliary of Orleans Parish for more than 2 years.
okay.
More than 2 years.
It says more than 2.
So her company that she currently works with is in London, but she's
Well,
Working
that,
here?
that is for, I'm sorry, that's for Courtney. I'm not really speaking about Courtney. I think it was the application. I'm sorry, I was still reviewing the application. But the one before Courtney,
You're thinking
I
about
think her
Julie
experience
Pfeffer?
was in Delaware. She did a lot of work in Newark, Delaware. And she's been a resident of New Orleans since 2019, I think.
Yes, she's been unemployed for 3 years, though, if you look at her history.
Unemployed.
Based on her resume, yeah.
Okay.
But those are all good points to note.
Yeah, as she, I think we kind of went by that when I just was still reading her information, and I noticed when we talked about her residency and the notary in Jersey, and plus her employment in Delaware for a number of years, and I just wanted to make sure that we had a individual that had some knowledge of the city of New Orleans and in this area.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I do too.
This is an important position, and it needs to be someone who has the time to attend board meetings and be an active board member. So in my mind, that's what I've been looking for, in addition to, of course, the qualifications.
Yeah.
The counter argument to that is that she has experience outside of New Orleans that she could bring here that might provide some more benefit for us.
I think it's helpful to have the, I guess, a different perspective from somebody relocating here. I guess my thing is, there's so much in flux currently, and also being very mindful that we have a brand-new executive director incoming, and to have somebody that can kind of help guide and support the executive director that's kind of on the ground and really support them with the local community. I don't think that could be understated at a time like this, especially as we know there is no runway for our new director. Day one, we need them moving.
Yeah.
The older community?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought you said, the
Oh, no,
older
no.
community.
Not discriminating against.
That's not what I was thinking. Actually, from her resume, if we go back to her, from her resume, it says that she has experience with older adults, technology services, and, I mean, from a advocacy standpoint, maybe she could help some of the people who are having issues with paying bills and things.
I agree. It'd be wonderful to have somebody that can advocate for our seniors. I think that's a wonderful thing.
But she was low on in my piles,
Oh, okay.
not on the higher
Okay.
piles, so.
Okay, we were on Courtney Scruggs. Anybody else have any thoughts on Courtney Scruggs?
That's this right. She's an attorney and a doctor at the same time. Did I read that right?
I think I read it that she attended med school. I don't know if
Yeah.
she actually graduated. That's the impression I got.
Yes.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments on this application? Okay, next is Emmanuel Smith, who lists his primary area of discipline as community advocacy. Any thoughts on this application?
I don't think I know Mr. Smith, but you could definitely look at his background, his experience. I mean, he has a broad spectrum of service.
Agreed.
He's definitely
Yes.
homegrown.
Yeah, I agree with that, and especially looking at his information and knowledge of the Union Baptist Theological Seminary, where over 126 Baptist churches in the city of New Orleans are members of. And where it's a location where many of the African-American ministers actually went to obtain their degrees from. And the location of his church, which is in Central City, looks like in that, and his experience and health, especially environmental cases.
Well, I thought his role as an employee relations manager, and particularly some of the work with New Orleans Health Corporation, shows like he knows how to work with communities and advocate in addition to his sort of his professional path as a minister.
Yeah, you definitely need an advocate for different underserved communities and people in some of these pocket areas in the city of New Orleans who may believe they do not have a voice, but someone that can speak for them. Okay, so I like that.
Me too, Nick, because when I think about consumer advocate, this is the type of background. That's not to take anything away from these amazing individuals here.
Yeah.
And they all have the academic credentials, but he seems like he's the most connected to the community than some of the folks who saw other that might have been more aligned with corporations or larger entities.
Any other comments on this application? Next, we have Christopher Tennyson, whose primary disciplines are engineering, construction, and business management.
Yeah, I think this
I
would
liked
be,
his work history from a technical standpoint. And then having the business administration, but the consumer, the advocacy piece. It's a little bit missing, but
I don't know, when I'm looking at his work history, I don't see much in New Orleans. It seems like it's, throughout Baton Rouge and Monroe. That would be my one question about Mr. Tennyson.
His current employment lists Baton Rouge as well.
Mhm.
But you can see he oversees offices, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans offices.
So maybe based out of Baton Rouge, but covers this area, I assume.
do people commute to Baton Rouge from here for work?
Yes, it's not as
Okay.
common. So, your commute time in Georgia is very different than what New Orleans is considered commute time. So,
A lot of the big corporate, I don't know what S&B engineers and construction, but a lot of the
Me
big
neither.
companies are all over Louisiana.
Yeah.
yeah.
There.
Yeah. I look at this one and I think probably very well qualified technically, but in terms of the consumer advocacy, I think that's probably not the area that I'd cover that also.
I agree with that. Final application for the Consumer Community Advocacy member is Valerie Grubb, who lists her fields of experience in finance, business administration, and facilities management.
Is her resume not included?
Yeah, I don't see a resume.
And it's just a bio.
Yeah, bio.
Yeah.
It's an interesting bio. But
And I've known her for quite a while. She's on the New Orleans Chamber Board. A real dynamo from all over the country, lived in New York and Chicago, worked for Oprah to start the Oxygen Channel. More importantly, she's incredibly dedicated to New Orleans. Like, she moved here about 10 years ago and has just lived and breathed it. So definitely from an advocate standpoint, I know she would give 100% of her time and energy and focus to do what's best for New Orleans.
Mhm.
And I know her and familiar with her because of membership in Elevate Louisiana, which is a bipartisan group of women that basically looks at all different policy issues across the state. And she's a founding member of that organization.
Yeah. She's really connected to New Orleans, and her participation in a number of community activities, and almost like a cultural barrier, working with the Mardi Gras Cruise and her experience, I see that she's retired. Yeah, that's good. And it's good to have people on this committee that are committed to the city of New Orleans and understand the challenges that we go through every day. And so I like that. I like that idea. I like what I'm seeing here for her.
Any other comments on this applicant? Those are all of the applications that we have for the community and consumer advocacy position. I would suggest that we select the 3 from that list so that when we start talking about the others, we're not getting clouded. If anybody has a different opinion, please let me know. Based on our discussion, it seems that people had concerns about Julie Pfeffer. Michelle Johnson and Christopher Tennyson, there were concerns, I think, voiced about their community advocacy and consumer advocacy experience as opposed to technical experience. correct. Which would leave Caitlin Kane, James Howard, Courtney Scrubs, Emmanuel Smith, and Valerie Grubb for consideration for 3 slots. So we'd need to eliminate 2 of those.
Okay, so
I'll just start by saying, of those 5, the 2 that I would eliminate, me personally, would be Caitlin Kane and James Howard. I liked Courtney Scrubs' resume and experience. Valerie Grubb, I think, would be great in terms of her commitment to the city and advocacy experience. And Emmanuel Smith, I think, would be just fantastic in terms of advocacy.
Sharonda, I'll echo your sentiments, and, you know, knowing that we have 3, I think these are the folks most aligned with this consumer advocacy role. Not quite everybody's credentials are impeccable, but I think that's our priority for this slot.
I also agree with both of you as well. I think those are the strongest 3 applicants who can truly advocate.
My top 2 were Emmanuel Smith and Valerie Grubb.
I agree with that. Smith and Valerie are my top 2.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Can I get a motion to submit the 3 names that we just discussed for consideration?
I'll make a motion to submit Courtney Scrubs, Emmanuel Smith, and Valerie Grubb.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any opposition? Hearing none, then those are the 3 names that will be submitted for the consumer and community advocacy position. So now we can move on to District C applicants. The first applicant there is Maxwell Godan. And we do have the qualifications and requirements in front of us with all of the fields of experience that we are looking for this role. And this applicant has indicated that his experience is in the fields of finance, business, and community advocacy as well. Anyone have comments or thoughts on this application?
He seems very tech savvy, like, very, yeah. Like, I don't even recognize some of the letters that are listed here, but.
AI a lot.
Yeah. You know, I think from that perspective, you know, and, you know, I don't know how strong of a role the individuals on the board play in driving the policies, but having somebody with that kind of background could be very beneficial in terms of, you know, modernizing and looking at ways to improve the operations of the sewage and water board.
Any other comments or thoughts on Maxwell Godan? Okay.
I like it that he has experience from Austin and New York and other places, but seems to be a New Orleanian.
Any other comments?
He actually participated a lot in community outreach activities, and I like that. Okay, and working with youth and also other individuals who may have been incarcerated. Yeah.
Any other thoughts before we move on to the next candidate? Next one is Patrick Hernandez, who has indicated that his experience is in the disciplines of finance, business administration, business management, and community advocacy as well. It looks like he is a business development / entrepreneur person primarily. Any thoughts on him?
No, I mean, impeccable background,
Yeah,
academically,
education.
education is phenomenal.
A little on the younger side, which I think is nice for us to be thinking of who's the next generation of our leaders.
I don't know if you know this, I'm just curious. BGR doesn't have a formal relationship with Sewage and Water Board, right? That was one, I just wanted to make sure there's no conflict there.
I don't think it's not a formal relationship, but they do research and look at,
And provide oversight,
not oversight necessarily, but they will make reports on different aspects of government functions.
gotcha, okay.
Any other questions or thoughts on Patrick Hernandez? If not, we'll move to the next one is Natalie Jordy, who says that her fields of experience are in business management, community and consumer advocacy, finance, and facilities management. Anybody have thoughts on this candidate?
Man, this is really intriguing. So, one, I love the fact that she's an entrepreneur. So I think she has real world experience in terms of how some of the services impact business and commerce, which is huge. But more importantly, community solar is something I think that we're going to see an uptick in. And I think right now, I can't remember if it's through Hero that Sewage and Water Board is going to be trying to do more clean energy and solar projects. So I think that is very intriguing that she already has this experience or some experience that could be relevant.
Anybody else have thoughts?
Business owner and is rooted in the community, and I think that she would be good, and she's got a good educational background and seems like a go-getter.
Anyone else?
Gotta be all cheerleader.
Bring that diversity to the board.
And she was in a Clean Leadership Institute. She was a fellow in 2024 and a Fulbright scholar. That's impressive.
say that right there is.
Okay. Any other thoughts on Natalie Jordy? The next one is Derek Martin. Derek lists his primary experience in the field of community advocacy. Anyone have thoughts on Derek?
I don't know Derek well. I know him. He's been around. When I saw that he was actually being nominated for District C as opposed to the community advocacy, I was a little surprised because I think most of his experience is more in line with the advocacy side. When I think about him, that doesn't take away from his resume. But I was a little surprised like that and thought that may have been a better option for him. That was just an opinion. But he's been around a long time and very active.
It's on 2 boards, so I don't know if Derek will have enough time to do a 3rd board. I think that jumped out at me.
He has a lot of executive experience from his resume.
Experience in the requirement areas, but I do agree. Community advocacy is definitely his forte, although he offers all sorts of assets to any board.
Notice that his, am I missing this, that is not notarized?
I have one that's notarized.
I do too.
Oh. Oh. Maybe that's a newer version. I printed out my own version, so maybe that's. Okay, okay.
And, I mean, his affidavit, he attests that his primary area of discipline is community advocacy, just for. Any other thoughts on Derek? Next, we have Kimberly Thomas. That's the last candidate. And Kimberly lists her primary fields of experience in business management and community advocacy. I did note that she has previously served on Sewage and Water Board. Anyone have any additional?
She has a large suite of management and leadership qualifications as well.
Definitely, it's a lot of diversity. I think in terms of her service, I like the fact that she served before, bring some continuity. That might be beneficial to our new director as they come in to kind of have some historic knowledge and insight. And the fact that she served as director of Inspire, it says a lot because that is one of the largest and fastest growing charter networks in the school. And I think that they've, it's interesting to think about how the schools show up as it relates to city services as well.
Do we know when she served on the Sewage and Water Board? What time period, does anybody?
Does anybody on staff have that information? I looked for it in the materials and it didn't. It's not in her resume in terms of the dates. It just says that she previously served. Have comments or questions on this application?
Am I reading this right there? So she's currently the executive director of Heroes of Neurons, currently the executive director of IGL Foundation, and currently the owner of a company. I just want to make sure, I mean, that's a lot going on.
It looks like she is executive director of Heroes, senior grants advisor to the CEO for Insight, and then president and executive director of IGL Foundation, and she has her own consulting company.
Lots of good experience there.
And I like, what's unique about her background, especially in the JD, that she had a focus on, I thought mediation, real estate, and construction really stood out, given, I think, some of the priorities that I anticipate Sewage and Water Board dealing in the next few years. I think that could be really beneficial. We can never have enough attorneys, right, Sharonda?
Anyone else have thoughts on this application? Okay, that's the last applicant for District C. Based on our discussion, again, we have to select 3 people to be submitted for consideration. It seems that we can all agree, based on discussion, that Derek Martin would be excluded from the group. Am I right about that?
I agree with that.
Okay, so that leaves Maxwell Godin, Patrick Hernandez, Natalie Jordy, and Kimberly Thomas for consideration. So of those 4, we need to eliminate 1 name.
Mhm.
I'd like to advocate for Patrick Hernandez and Natalie, because they're both young, they're entrepreneurs, they both own their own businesses. I think they'd bring a lot of energy and motivation to the group.
I second that too. And then I would add Kimberly Thomas to that because then she brings all that experience that we do need. So here's two young dynamos and
Yeah,
an experienced dynamo.
yeah, I agree with, about Kimberly Thomas and also, Kathy Hernandez.
I liked Natalie, Jordy. So,
I thought Thomas, Jordy, and Hernandez kind of stood out. And one thing I just want to clarify, Mr. Morton was fantastic. I just think that he would have been better suited for consumer advocate. Want to reiterate that because he's done a lot of great work throughout the city, especially on the West Bank.
I second that.
Okay.
He's a really great person.
Agreed.
Who loves New Orleans.
Yep, agreed with
I
that.
think those are the three that kind of stood out to me the most as we were all having a discussion.
I agree. Those are the strongest three that we have.
Is anybody prepared to make a motion
So moved.
for,
Hernandez, Jordy, and Thomas.
is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any opposition? Hearing none, then the motion passes, and the three nominees for District C will be Patrick Hernandez, Natalie Jordy, and Kimberly Thomas. So next item on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any members of the? Okay. All right, so no public comment, but I would like to take an opportunity to have the staff introduce themselves since they helped put all of this material together.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today, for your participation. I'm Jamie Carver, Chief of Staff.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming today and taking a little bit of your time. My name is Ciara Labat, and I am Chief of Communications.
Great, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Brianna Lindsay. I work for Board Relations.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Giselle Smothers, Board Relations.
Thank you. Thank you to all the staff. Thanks to everybody for coming to make these selections. We have no other items of business on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Any opposed to adjourning? I'm sure not. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Rhonda, thank you for making this so efficient. Appreciate you.